Talk to me about why now and the timing of creating this story, Devil in Disguise.
The truth is that I didn't want to do it at first. I actually turned it down twice because I didn't think that there was a reason to do it. The last thing that I wanted to do was to tell another serial killer story. I am very grateful that Universal and Peacock kept on me, and basically we had a conversation of, well, what would it take for you to do it? And I said, okay, well, if we focus on the victims' families, the police, the lawyers, and the victims themselves, then I'll do it. And from that day forward until this second right now, they have been supportive of that, even though I didn't even know what that meant when I said it exactly. But over the course of the development of the show, first and foremost with our brilliant writers, it was when we cracked the short stories of the victims where we made the decision that we were going to tell their lives, their hopes, their dreams, their tragedies, the challenges that they faced as young boys and young men, and having absolutely no connective tissue to John Wayne Gacy or their vicious murders. That the show came into stark relief for me, and it became something that I knew. I keep saying this, that I think that it is a special show, even though we didn't start out by wanting to make it special. It just became that sort of naturally. And so I'm very grateful. I'm very proud of what we have to offer. And I do think that it changes the conversation around true crime, even though that was never the intent at the outset.
And Gabriel, you play like a very determined detective. He's not cutting John any slack in this. Talk about coming into this and conversations you had with Patrick, and what type of role and person you wanted to portray with this detective.
I was intrigued by the fact that he exists, that he's a real man who, and also was really ready to play somebody who was just a mortal man and an ordinary person and an everyday hero. Somebody who's it doesn't set out to be a hero, and you don't immediately see him as that, but through his actions and through his persistence and through his tireless pursuit of the identities of these boys would be just powerful, and I'm thankful that I because I had the same experience as Patrick describes. It's just on a day in, day out basis, just growing into the meaning of what we were doing, and how just the level of just the high level that everybody was executing at. It was evident in on the sets that I stepped onto. It was evident in everybody's Tovar's his kind of just tenacity. You could see that in all of our departments. just like they were seeking something above us and out of reach, and for the most part we grasped it. And also the story just was so interesting. The fact that the way Patrick describes it, and how leaving the gruesome nature of the crimes at the door, and not really focusing on Gacy, and he just became kind of this. In the short stories and the vignettes, he's kind of the ultimate destination. So knowing where these boys end up just beautifies and intensifies every moment that we experience with them. And for Tovar and a lot of the people who worked on the case, and of course the families, he's this kind of the starting point, this inception point of everything that they're trying to get away from, and they're trying to escape, but never can, because he's just this kind of crossroads for all of these stories and all these people. And I found that extremely interesting, and was happy to discover more and more of that as we continued in the work.
Yeah, visually, it's so interesting because you are stepping back in time. And talk about what it was like to create that set. Gabriel, your hair is incredible in this show. On a lighter note, I was like, come on now. This is like the kind of guy I
No, man, it was my hair was already long from The Last of Us, and we just had to cut it a little bit. I already had the facial hair. I was about to shave it off, and my wife was really excited about that. And then I told her that we're stuck in this for another 6-7 months, and she was less so. It was, but I loved it. I loved that I was already kind of there for this kind of 70s era. There's everything. The character, I could look at a single picture of him and feel like I knew where I was going with it. Yeah, I keep saying that when I see him, you see him in his leather jackets and his rugby shirts and his Western belts and his boots and his blue jeans in a sea of suits at the courthouse or on site at the crime scene, and you just get the sense that he's just kind of does things a little different, and I think that outsider mindset is what benefited him when he was. And certainly in our story, when he confronts, his own, and how and where they have failed, and how we're trying to, we cannot correct where, we can't bring the kids back, but we can at least humanize them, and give their memories back to the families,
And Patrick, real quick before I go, can you just talk about this cast, Michael Chernus and Gabriel and Marin and the whole cast?
It's always dangerous to answer this question.
Sitting next to one?
Well, no, this is going to be in your favor until my next show when I have to say it. But no, I've worked with such amazing casts in the past, and I just have to say that these performances across the board are revelatory to me in the way that they elevated every element of the script, but they will not be revelatory to anyone who has followed their careers and is fans of their work. I was surrounded every single day by the greatest ensemble that I could possibly imagine, and it's not just a line for me to say that they elevated the dialogue or they elevated the scenes. Like, that's what their jobs are ultimately, is to take what we've done and to make it better. And every single scene there was something surprising to me. The words are words I'd looked at for months on end, but the way that they had life breathed into them were extraordinary. Like, I'm sorry, really quickly, because it like gets me every time. There's this like brilliant moment in the pharmacy in the pilot where he goes in to talk to Kim Byers, and she says, "Hi, how are you?" And Gabriel does this thing where he goes, "Ah." Yeah. Like that's not in the script, and every time that I see it, I'm like, that's just real. It's just so beautifully real. And so and there were like little moments throughout. I've watched this show like 180,000 times in the edit, and every time there is some nuance that I pick up from each and every one of them. And so I am nothing but grateful. I always say that, like, directors keep working with me, writers keep working with me. I've never had a returning cast member work with me again. I'm hoping that they will say yes to me in the future, because I had nothing but an extraordinary time with them.
He's amazing, Patty Mac. That's what you call him. At least I call him. I'm trying to get it started. No one else is really doing it.
No,
but he put together an incredible group. Marin, Ireland, just absolutely just set the tone. Chernus was our rock badge. Everybody, we all really came together, and the team effort that this one was amazing to experience. So you did a great job. And Beth and Freya, our casting department, thank you so much, because they made it easy.
Yep.
I want to talk about the character of Elizabeth, not just part of Gacy's story, but she's sort of a catalyst for justice. What was it like portraying this mother figure?
It was definitely a bit of an exhausting ride. I sort of thought of it like tackling some sort of Greek theater role, where it was the heights of kind of human emotion and staying at a pretty high level throughout. I did feel a huge sense of responsibility towards her and to the other families, but I have to say that the company was so supportive and loving that kind of helped carry me through this journey overall.
I mean, I think it's every parent's worst nightmare, obviously, that's their child is missing and they don't know what happened. How do you dial into that?
That is such a good question. I honestly, There was something about the fact, I think, that we were all really keeping Elizabeth and Rob and their family at the forefront of our minds and thinking about the fact of the reality of this and that it wasn't just Rob, but it happened to so many of these other families. It was something that strangely was very immediate for me to tap into on the day. And I think it really was a testament to how much the entire crew and cast were all keeping these people in our minds, that it felt like it was right there for me. It was a very sobering, but sort of there was something very sacred about the experience in that in a way also about kind of honoring these people and the suffering they went through.
What was it like stepping back in time? Because this is a period piece as well. I mean, the sets were amazing. The costumes, does that sort of change how you feel inside when you're putting on a performance?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you move differently, you walk differently. There's so many other kind of social dynamics that come into play in terms of the scenes themselves and how they're shot and how you carry yourself and how you speak and how you interact with the props on set and all of that stuff and what props are available to you. And that helps so much in terms of creating a different kind of atmosphere for the kind of emotional life of it to sort of play through. And it does help also in honestly leaving it behind at the end of the day, feeling like you're shedding the entire person that you were inhabiting. It's a different way of grounding at the end of the workday.
Yeah, it's also like it shows different struggles that we take for granted. I mean, there's something that
Absolutely.
stood out to me was when they went to search and the father was like, just the girl was like, I don't have any change. And he's like, call collect. Like, there's no
Yeah.
cell phones.
Yeah, it's part of the nightmare of the whole thing. You can't track your kids. There's no cell phones. Somebody disappears, and if the police say they think he just took off, there's nothing you can do to dispel that. But 100%, it was that particular terror is so much more immediate because once they're out of your sight, you have no idea. There's not a single way to locate them. Now there's almost too many ways to sort of, geolocate each other. But to be able to sort of step back into that particular mindset and the way people were living and how easy it was to feel like you could lose track of somebody in particular, terrifying.
What was your favorite part about being part of the ensemble with, Michael
Mm,
Chernus and
yeah.
Gabriel and just the
They're
whole.
all from the top down. It's a testament to Patrick, but also because who Michael is in the business and in the world. It was the loveliest group, and we people say that a lot in this business. That we have such a great group or the team or whatever, and this really was a very special thing. Everybody was caring for each other and reaching out to each other and there for each other in a way that I personally haven't really seen before. I think partially just in large part just because of the subject matter, and we all knew it was a challenging thing to go through together.
What sort of things do you speak with Patrick McManus about when you're kind of setting up a scene or preparing to, bring this character to the screen?
I think in many ways it was about kind of calibrating what this scene is doing in terms of like what element of the struggle that the families went through and what element of what Elizabeth went through are we kind of pulling forward here? How is this advancing her relationship with, especially with Kozenzak that Badge played? It's like she has a relationship with this detective at a certain point too. And so like how is that relationship developing and where is she in her relationship with her husband? And we have those kinds of relationship questions and wanting to sort of track those things and how they flow through. And kind of what level things could be at and what level we can try them at and how to sort of ride that out. But mostly it's about tracking kind of relationships and which facet are we going to bring to light here.
How do you get out of this feeling? I mean, are you an actor that like takes it home with you and like, or can you, when they say cut, can you walk away?
It's a combination. I think this particular one was often really hard to walk away from. Usually I was so exhausted emotionally at the end of the day that, your body doesn't know the difference. Your mind might know the difference, but your body doesn't, your nervous system doesn't know the difference. So, your body is still going through whatever it's going through. So yeah, it feels like if you were having a few months where you were grieving really hard for a long time, for a few months, that it takes a toll on your nervous system and on your body. So even if you're able to sort of leave the work behind, it's still being held, as they say, that body keeps the score, and that's real. And you can't convince your nervous system of something that didn't happen. It's happening live in that moment.